Picture a school bully picking the wrong target, a quiet girl with a secret so big it could slam a king off his throne. Aisha Jackson walks into Northside High, a new face dodging chaos, only to catch the eye of Travis Reed, the school's untouchable jock. He's all swagger, no mercy, thinking she's easy prey, but he's dead wrong. Her tie to Michael Jordan, the hardwood legend, is about to turn his world upside down. Hang on for a gritty showdown where arrogance gets crushed, a bully's crown shatters, and a legacy proves unbeatable. This is a slam dunk you won't see coming. Wilmington, North Carolina, simmered under a late September sun, the salty tang of the Cape Fear River threading through the air as Aisha Jackson stepped off the rattling city bus. Her sneakers crunched gravel, her backpack slung loose over one shoulder, a faded hoodie pulled tight over her braids. At 16, she was a veteran of fresh starts. 3 schools in 4 years, each a dodge from shadows she couldn't shake. Northside High School loomed ahead, red brick weathered by decades, a football field patchy with weeds, bleachers sagging under coastal rust. It wasn't fancy, just a working-class grind where kids grew up fast, and Aisha knew the stakes. Wilmington wasn't new. She'd been born here, roots buried deep. But today, it felt like a battlefield. Students swarmed the entrance, their voices a rough tide, varsity jackets flashing, sneakers scuffing asphalt, the clatter of a small-town pecking order etched in stone. Aisha adjusted her hood, her dark eyes slicing through the crowd. She'd mastered this, blend in, scope the exits, dodge the traps. Her last school, a concrete jungle upstate, had taught her how to duck bullies and rumors. But Northside had a different pulse, a mix of salt air and old grudges, a place where legends lingered, even if no one named them yet. She took a breath, stepping into the fray, aiming to vanish in plain sight. Inside, the halls thrummed, lockers slamming, sneakers squealing on chipped tiles, teachers barking over the chaos. Aisha clutched her schedule, a crumpled map to survival, weaving past knots of kids. Girls giggling too loud, boys shoving too hard, the air thick with sweat and cheap cologne. She'd played this game. Find your locker, stake a lunch spot, clock the sharks. Her locker was top row, dented, a relic of fights past. She shoved her books in, geometry, history, a worn copy of The Outsiders, the clang a shield against the stairs. The bell shrieked, kids scattering, but a shadow lingered. Travis Reed owned the hall before she saw him. Tall, wiry, a quarterback's frame wrapped in a Letterman jacket, he tossed a football like it was his scepter, leaning against a locker bank with a smirk that cut glass. His crew flanked him. Darius, a tank of a lineman with a shaved head and fists like bricks, and Kyle, a skinny loudmouth with a grin too wide, bouncing on his toes. Travis's laugh sliced sharp, his hazel eyes glinting with a predator's edge, confidence born from breaking what didn't bend. Aisha pegged him fast. The kingpin here, the guy who ruled by fear and charm, the kind she'd crossed before, bullies who sniffed out the new, the quiet, the different. She planned to slip past, but the crowd shifted, a trap springing shut. Kyle moved first, his foot jutted out, deliberate, catching her ankle, her books spilled, pages fluttering across the tiles like wounded birds, a geometry text skidding under a locker. Laughter erupted, a jagged wave crashing over her, heads turning to gawk, some snickering, some whispering, a jury forming fast. Aisha's cheeks burned as she knelt, gathering her stuff. Her hoodie slipped back, braids swinging free, her hands steady despite the heat clawing up her spine. "Well, damn," Travis drawled, stepping over, his shadow a cage, his voice low and mocking. "New girl's already down. Rough start, huh?" His crew tightened the circle, Darius looming, Kyle cackling, their eyes bright with the thrill of a hunt. Aisha stacked her books, slow, deliberate, ignoring the sting of their stares. Travis crouched, close enough she smelled his gum, his tone a taunt wrapped in velvet. "What's your name, newbie? Or are you too scared to talk?" She stood, slow, meeting his gaze, dark, unflinching, a wall he couldn't crack. "Aisha," she said, voice flat, no tremor, no give. Travis tilted his head, smirk stretching wide, his eyes raking over her, hoodie, jeans, no flash, dismissing her as meat. "Aisha, huh? Welcome to Northside. Hope you're quick on your feet." She brushed past, his crew parting grudgingly, her shoulder grazing Darius's bulk. Travis called after, "Don't trip again. Might not catch you next time." His laugh echoed, a promise of more, the hall buzzing, a jury of whispers, a stage set. Aisha reached her locker, shoving books in harder, the clang a defiance she didn't voice. She leaned on the cold metal, exhaling slow, the weight of eyes still pressing. She'd played this. New school, same rules. Stay quiet, stay sharp, wait it out. But Wilmington wasn't just another stop. This was where roots ran deep, where a shadow bigger than Travis loomed, even if he didn't feel it yet. Classes dragged, math a drone of equations, English a blur of Shakespeare she half heard, her pen tracing loops in a notebook, whispers snaked. New girl, hoodie, alone. But she let them slide, her mind on Travis. Lunch was a gauntlet, the cafeteria a roar of trays and trash talk, Travis holding court at the center table, his crew loud, his eyes flicking her way. She picked a corner spot, nibbling a sandwich, plotting invisibility, head down, hood up, a ghost in the noise. But Travis's gaze stuck, a predator sizing meat, his laugh cutting through the din like a blade. Last bell rang. Freedom a breath away. Aisha hit the parking lot, the sun dipping low, heat shimmering off asphalt, the bus stop her lifeline. She was halfway there when Travis's voice sliced the air. "Hey, new girl." He sauntered up, solo, hands in pockets, grin sharp as a switchblade. "Thought you'd sneak out quiet? Got something to say now?" Aisha turned, slow, her sigh a wall, her backpack shifting heavy. "What do you want, Travis?" His grin twitched, eyes narrowing, stepping closer, his shadow long in the fading light. "Respect. You don't walk away from me." She laughed, short, dry, a spark he didn't expect, her voice low, steady. "Respect's earned, not barked for. Try harder." His jaw tightened, his breath sharp, towering over her, close enough she saw the flecks in his eyes. "You don't know how this works, do you? I own this school, every inch, every kid." Aisha held her ground, unflinching, her words a quiet cut. "Own it then. Leave me out." Travis chuckled, dark, a storm brewing deep, his hand flexing like he might grab her. "Oh, you're in deep now, Aisha, real deep." A rumble broke the tension. A black Escalade rolled up, bass thumping low, tinted windows glinting like steel in the dusk. Travis froze, his smirk faltering, confusion flickering. The driver's window eased down, slow, deliberate. And there he was, Michael Jordan. At 62, MJ still carried that hardwood thunder, gray hair cropped tight under a bull's cap, eyes sharp as a hawk's, his lean frame filling the seat in a black jacket, a presence that swallowed the lot. Aisha smirked, faint, final, her voice a whisper Travis barely caught. "Guess we'll see who owns what." MJ leaned out, voice calm, deep, a gravel roll that hit like a gavel. "Aisha, hop in." She strolled past Travis, his bravado crumbling to dust, his mouth half open, eyes darting, king to pawn in a heartbeat. She slid into the passenger seat, the door thudding shut, the Escalade growling alive. Travis stood rooted, a statue of shock, as MJ pulled away, tires spitting gravel, leaving a bully's rein teetering on the edge. The black Escalade rumbled through Wilmington's dusk, its bass thumping low as the city blurred past. Docks glinting under sodium lights, warehouses squat against the horizon, the old haunts Michael Jordan once roamed as a kid, with a patched ball. Aisha Jackson sank into the passenger seat, her hoodie bunched around her shoulders, braids spilling free, her backpack a lump at her feet. The tension of Northside High School's parking lot clung to her like sweat. Travis Reed's stunned face still burned in her mind, his smirk gone, his swagger gutted by MJ's shadow. She tapped her knee, exhaling slow, the hum of the engine a steady pulse against her nerves. Michael Jordan gripped the wheel, his bull's cap low, gray hair peeking out, his eyes sharp under the brim. 62 years hadn't dulled that hardwood glare. He wore a black jacket over a plain tee, his frame lean but solid, a quiet storm in the driver's seat. The silence stretched, comfortable but heavy, until Aisha broke it, her voice soft, testing. "That was loud, huh?" MJ smirked, that half grin from 1,000 Bulls press conferences, his deep chuckle rolling out. "Little bit. You good, kid?" She nodded, tugging her hood. "Yeah, just didn't want the whole school knowing yet." MJ glanced over, his gaze piercing but warm, the kind that saw through walls. "Small town, big name. They'd sniff it out eventually. Wilmington don't forget." Aisha shrugged, her fingers tracing the seat's leather. "Guess so. Thought I could lay low longer." MJ's smirk widened, his voice gravelly, wise. "Low's overrated. Sometimes you gotta stand tall, let 'em see." She met his eyes, a faint grin tugging her lips. "Like you did?" He chuckled again, deeper, a sound that carried decades of rings and scars. "Had to. Nobody handed me nothing. That punk back there, he's scared now." Aisha's grin faded, her mind flicking to Travis, his jaw tight, his crew's laughter dying as the Escalade peeled out. "Scared turns to mad with guys like him," she said, voice low. MJ nodded, slow, his hands flexing on the wheel. "Yep, seen it. Pistons 89, bad boys thought they'd break me. Got mad, got dirty, still lost. What's your play?" She leaned back, eyes drifting to the window, Wilmington's lights streaking gold. "Let him bury himself, he's already digging." MJ's eyes glinted, proud. "That's my niece, smart as hell. Patience wins more than fists." They rolled into a modest brick house off Market Street, the driveway crunching under tires. Inside, the kitchen glowed warm. Wood table scratched from years, MJ's coffee mug steaming, Aisha swirling a soda can, ice clinking. She recounted the day. Travis's taunt, the hallway spill, the lot standoff. Her voice steady but edged. "He's not done," she said, sipping slow. MJ leaned on the counter, arms crossed, his cap shadowing a face carved by battles. "Nope. Bullies don't quit till they're broke. You ready?" She smirked, sharp. Born ready, he's got no clue. Next morning, Northside High crackled with buzz. Whispers snaking through halls like wildfire, phones buzzing with blurry Escalade pics, kids huddling over screens. "That's Jordan's girl," they hissed, eyes tracking Aisha as she stepped off the bus, her hoodie up, braids swinging. The air shifted. Curiosity, awe, a few sneers, a jury forming fast. She kept her chin high, her stride steady, but the weight of stares pressed hard. Travis owned the locker bank, his crew tight. Darius looming like a wall, Kyle bouncing with nervous energy. His Letterman jacket hung loose, his smirk gone, replaced by a glare that could cut steel. She walked past, giving nothing, but his voice sliced out, loud, venomous. "Think you're hot now, huh?" She stopped, slow, turning just enough. Her eyes locked his, cool, unflinching. "Think what you want," she said, voice flat, no bait taken. Travis stepped closer, his crew fanning out, the hall hushing, a showdown brewing. "Big shot uncle don't scare me," he sneered, his breath sharp, gum snapping. "You're still nobody here." Aisha's lips twitched, a faint smirk breaking. "Keep talking, digging's free." Laughter rippled, soft, nervous from the crowd, Travis's jaw twitching, his hazel eyes flashing fury. "Watch yourself," he hissed, low, a promise. She turned, walking off, the hall buzzing louder. Travis's throne wobbled, and he felt it. Classes dragged, math a drone of numbers, history a blur of dates, Aisha's pen scratching loops in her notebook. Whispers grew, MJ's niece. Travis got smoked, a tide she couldn't dodge. Lunch was a battlefield. The cafeteria roared, trays clattering, Travis's table a fortress of noise. She grabbed a corner spot, sandwich in hand, hood up, but his crew struck fast. Darius bumped her table. Her tray tipped, apple rolling, soda splashing, laughter erupting like gunfire. Travis smirked from his throne, arms crossed, watching. Oops, Darius drawled, his bulk towering. Clumsy again, princess? Aisha straightened, wiping soda off her sleeve, her voice cool, cutting. Real creative, huh? Keep digging, caveman. The crowd oohed, sharp, loud, Darius's grin faltering, Travis's smirk twitching. Kyle piped up, shrill. Think Jordan's gonna save you every time? She met his eyes, steady, a spark flaring. Don't need saving, just watching you sink. Laughter stung, Travis's face darkening, his crew shifting uneasy, a crack in their armor showing. She ate on, slow, deliberate, letting their fury simmer, a predator turned prey. After school, the halls emptied fast, but Aisha lingered, locker dented and waiting. She opened it, books dumped, pages torn, marker scrawling nobody in jagged red. Travis leaned across the hall, arms crossed, watching, a vulture waiting for a flinch. She stacked her stuff, slow, calm, her hands steady, her face blank, giving him nothing. Kids whispered, phones up, but she shut the door, the clang a quiet defiance. Travis pushed off the wall, sauntering close, his voice low, venomous. Think you're untouchable now? That Escalade don't mean squat here. She turned, slow, her backpack shifting, her eyes locking his, a wall he couldn't climb. Untouchable? Nah, just not your punching bag. His nostrils flared, his hand flexing. Close enough she smelled his sweat. You're gonna regret this, he hissed, a storm coiling. She smirked, faint, final. Regret's your game. Keep playing. She walked off, his glare burning her back, the hall a jury of gasps. Travis's rein teetered, and he knew it. That night, the kitchen glowed, MJ's coffee steaming, Aisha swirling her soda, ice clinking sharp. They trashed my locker, she said, voice steady but edged. MJ leaned on the counter, cap low, his eyes glinting under the brim. Pushing hard, huh? What did you do? She grinned, slow, sharp. Nothing, let 'em stew. He chuckled, deep, a sound that carried rings and grit. Smart play, bullies hate silence, they'll swing wilder now. She nodded, sipping slow, her mind racing. Travis's fury, the crowd's shift, a plan forming. He's mad. Gonna try something big. MJ crossed his arms, his voice a gravel roll. Seen it! 90 Detroit lame beer swinging 'cause I wouldn't break. Let him swing, he'll miss. Aisha's eyes flared, a spark catching. Miss big, then he's done. MJ grinned, proud, his cap tilting. That's it. Patience slams harder than fists. You set? She leaned back, hoodie slipping, her smirk a blade. Set. He's got no clue what's coming. MJ raised his mug, a toast unspoken. The kitchen hummed, a storm brewing beyond, Travis digging deep, Aisha waiting to strike. Outside, Wilmington's night thickened, the docks silent, the river still, but Northside High was a fuse lit, and the blast was close. The Wilmington dawn broke gray over Market Street, a salty haze drifting from the docks as Aisha Jackson climbed aboard the rattling city bus, her hoodie pulled tight, her braids tucked under the hood. Northside High School waited, a brick fortress of rust and grit, its bleachers glinting wet from overnight drizzle. The ride jolted her bones, her backpack heavy with patched books, her mind replaying yesterday's clash. Travis Reed's venomous glare, his crew's laughter, the locker scrawled red with nobody. She'd given him nothing, but his fury simmered, a fuse burning short. Today, she knew, he'd swing harder. The bus screeched to a stop, kids spilling out, their voices a rough tide, varsity jackets flashing, sneakers slapping wet pavement, the hum of gossip thick as fog. Aisha stepped down, her stride steady, but the air crackled. Eyes tracked her, whispers snaking fast. Jordan's niece, they hissed, phones buzzing with Escalade pics, the tale of Travis's parking lot freeze spreading like wildfire. She kept her chin up, her dark eyes slicing through, but the weight pressed. Curiosity, awe, a growing edge of spite. Travis wasn't king anymore. He was a cornered dog, and she felt his bite coming. Inside, the halls roared, lockers banging, tiles slick with tracked mud, teachers barking over the din. Aisha weaved through, her schedule a crumpled shield, the crowd parting slow, reluctant. She reached her locker, dented, red marker faded but still legible, and shoved her books in, the clang a quiet defiance. The bell shrieked, kids scattering, but Travis loomed near, his crew tight. Darius a hulking shadow, Kyle twitching like a live wire. His Letterman jacket hung loose, his smirk gone, replaced by a scowl that promised war. "Think you're slick, huh?" he snapped, voice loud, cutting through the noise. She turned, slow, her backpack shifting, meeting his gaze. Cool, steady, a wall he couldn't break. "Think what you want," she said, voice flat, no bait offered. Travis stepped closer, his crew fanning out, the hall hushing, a storm coiling tight. "Big shot uncle don't mean you're tough," he sneered, gum snapping sharp, his breath hot with rage. "You're still trash here." Aisha's lips twitched, a faint smirk breaking, her words a quiet blade. "Trash talks loud. Keep swinging." Laughter rippled, sharp, nervous from the crowd, Travis's jaw clenching, his hazel eyes blazing. "You're dead," he hissed, low, a vow etched deep. She walked off, his glare burning, the hall buzzing. Travis's throne cracked, and he hated it. Classes dragged, math a drone of chalk and boredom, English a blur of poems she half heard, her pen scratching circles in a notebook. Whispers swelled. MJ's girl. Travis got smoked. A tide she couldn't duck. Lunch was a crucible. The cafeteria roared, trays clattering, Travis's table a fortress of noise and bravado. Aisha grabbed a corner spot, sandwich in hand, hood up, but his crew struck fast. Darius loomed. Accidentally, slamming her table, her tray tipped, soda splashing, apple rolling underfoot, laughter erupting like a gunshot. Travis smirked from his perch, arms crossed, watching, his voice booming over the din. "Clumsy again, huh? Guess Jordan can't fix that." Kids turned. A jury of grins and gasps. Phones up, filming. Aisha straightened, wiping soda off her sleeve, her voice cool, cutting through. "Real original. Digging deeper, huh?" The crowd oohed, loud, sharp, Darius's grin faltering, Travis's smirk twitching. Kyle piped up, shrill, his skinny frame bouncing. "What, think you're untouchable because of some old baller?" She met his eyes, steady, a spark flaring. "Untouchable? Nah, just watching you drown." Laughter stung, Travis's face darkening, his crew shifting. Darius cracking knuckles, Kyle muttering low, a crack widening in their armor. She ate on, slow, deliberate, letting their fury boil, a predator turned prey. The day crawled. Hallways a gauntlet of stairs, whispers turning to jeers from Travis's loyalists. After third period, she hit the bathroom. Tiles cracked, mirrors smudged, washing soda stickiness from her hands. The door banged open. 3 girls, cheer squad by their ponytails and glitter, Travis's orbit. "So you're the big deal, huh?" One sneered, blonde, her arms crossed. Aisha dried her hands, slow, her voice flat. "Deal's what you make it." The blonde stepped closer, her glossed lips curling. "Travis says you're a fake. Jordan don't care about you." Aisha smirked, faint, sharp. "Tell Travis to say it himself. Hiding's weak." They bristled, but she brushed past, the door swinging shut, their whispers a fading hiss. Travis's reach growing, his net tightening. After school, the halls thinned, but Aisha lingered. Her locker waited, a battlefield scarred. She opened it. Books dumped again, pages ripped, a new scrawl in black marker. "Nobody's princess." A crumpled note fluttered out. "Watch your back, bitch." Unsigned, but Travis's stink was all over it. Kids loitered, phones up, a crowd smelling blood. Travis leaned across the hall, arms crossed, his crew flanking. Darius cracking his neck, Kyle grinning wide, watching for a crack. Aisha stacked her books, slow, calm, her hands steady, her face blank, giving him nothing but silence. He pushed off the wall, sauntering close, his voice low, venomous, his breath hot on her neck. "Think that Escalade makes you queen? You're still a zero. Jordan can't save you here. She turned, slow, her backpack shifting, her eyes locking his. A wall he couldn't climb. Save me? Don't need it. You're sinking fast. His nostrils flared, his hand flexing. Close enough she smelled his sweat and gum, his crew edging in. Darius a tower, Kyle a yapping dog. You're done, he hissed, a storm breaking. This school's mine. Gonna bury you. She smirked, faint, final, her voice a whisper he couldn't dodge. Bury yourself. Holes deep already. She walked off, his glare a furnace, the hall a jury of gasps. Travis's rein teetered, his fury a rope tightening around his neck. Outside, the drizzle thickened, Wilmington's dusk cloaking the lot. Aisha hit the bus stop, rain beating on her hood, when footsteps splashed. Darius and Kyle, no Travis, their grins dark. Where's your ride now, princess? Kyle taunted, his skinny frame bouncing. Darius cracked knuckles, looming. Travis says you're toast. Better run. Aisha stood, unflinching, her voice cool, cutting. Run? Nah, you're the one slipping. Headlights flared. The Escalade rolled up, bass thumping. MJ at the wheel, his cap low, eyes sharp. Darius froze, Kyle's grin dying, their bravado dust. MJ leaned out, voice calm, deep, a gavel dropping. Aisha, let's roll. She strolled past, rain streaking her hood, sliding into the passenger seat, the door thudding shut. The Escalade growled alive, tires spitting wet gravel, leaving Travis's dogs rooted, a king's pawns crumbling. Inside, the cab hummed, MJ's hands steady, Aisha's breath easing. They're mad, she said, voice low. MJ nodded, slow, his smirk faint. Mad's loud, smart's quiet. What's next? She leaned back, rain streaking the window, her mind racing. Travis's escalation, the crowd's shift, a plan hardening. He's swinging wild. Gonna trip soon. MJ's eyes glinted, proud, his voice a gravel roll. Seen it, 91, Lakers, Magic swinging, missed big. Let him fall, you just watch. Aisha's smirk flared, a spark catching. Fall hard, then he's done. MJ chuckled, deep, his cap tilting. That's it. Patience dunks on 'em all. They rolled home, the kitchen glowing, MJ's coffee steaming, Aisha swirling soda, ice clinking sharp. They're coming harder, she said, voice steady, edged. MJ leaned on the counter, arms crossed, his eyes piercing under the brim. Harder's desperate, means they're scared. You set? She grinned, slow, sharp, her hoodie slipping. Set, he's got no clue what's hitting. MJ raised his mug, a toast unspoken. The room hummed, a storm cresting beyond, Travis swinging wild, Aisha waiting to slam. Wilmington's Thursday morning hung heavy with coastal mist, the air thick as Aisha Jackson stepped off the city bus, her sneakers crunching wet gravel outside Northside High School. Her hoodie clung damp from last night's drizzle, her braids tucked tight, her backpack heavier with patched books, and a plan sharpened by days of Travis Reed's escalating rage. The school loomed, red brick slick with dew, bleachers glinting under a gray sky, a battlefield where whispers had turned to roars, Travis's taunts, his crew's ambushes, the locker scars. They'd pushed her to the edge, but she hadn't cracked. Today, she felt it. The trap was set, and he'd spring it himself. The parking lot buzzed, kids spilling from buses, their voices a rough tide, varsity jackets flashing, phones up, the hum of gossip a live wire. Aisha's arrival sparked it. Eyes tracked her, whispers snaking fast. Jordan's niece, Travis's toast, the tale of MJ's Escalade showdown now legend, Travis's fury a fuse burning short. She kept her chin high, her dark eyes slicing through, but the air crackled. Tension thick as fog, a crowd sensing blood. Travis wasn't king anymore. He was a wounded beast, and she'd let him bleed out. Inside, the halls thundered, lockers slamming, tiles slick with tracked mud, teachers barking over the chaos. Aisha weaved through, her schedule a crumpled shield, the crowd parting slow, reluctant, some nodding, some sneering, a jury split. She reached her locker, dented, marker faded but still a wound, and shoved her books in, the clang a quiet defiance. The bell shrieked, kids scattering, but Travis loomed near, his crew tight. Darius a hulking wall, Kyle twitching like a live wire, their glares venomous. His Letterman jacket hung loose, his smirk gone, replaced by a scowl that promised hell. "Think you're winning, huh?" he snapped, voice loud, cutting through the din, his gums snapping sharp. She turned, slow, her backpack shifting, meeting his gaze. Cool, steady, a fortress he couldn't breach. "Winning's your word," she said, voice flat, no bait offered. Travis stepped closer, his crew fanning out, the hall hushing. A storm breaking loose. "Big shot uncle don't mean squat," he sneered, his breath hot with rage, his hazel eyes blazing. "You're still nothing, gonna bury you deep." "Einbar some," Aisha's lips twitched, a faint smirk breaking, her words a quiet blade. "Bury what? You're sinking yourself, keep swinging." Laughter rippled, loud, jagged from the crowd, Travis's jaw clenching, his fists flexing. "You're dead," he hissed, low, a vow etched in fury. She walked off, his glare a furnace, the hall buzzing. Travis's throne shattered and he hated it. Classes crawled, math a drone of chalk and monotony, history a blur of dates she tuned out, her pen scratching loops in a notebook. Whispers swelled. "MJ's girl. Travis is done." A tide she couldn't dodge. Lunch was a crucible. The cafeteria roared, trays clattering, Travis's table a fortress of noise and bravado. Aisha grabbed her corner spot, sandwich in hand, hood up, but his crew struck fast. Darius loomed, accidentally, slamming her table, her tray tipped, soda splashing, apple rolling underfoot, laughter erupting like gunfire. Travis stood, his voice booming over the din, a public execution. "Still clumsy, huh? Guess Jordan's rings don't catch trash." Kids turned, a jury of gasps and grins, phones up, filming, dozens now, a sea of screens. Aisha straightened, wiping soda off her sleeve, her voice cool, cutting through. "Trash talks loud, digging deeper, huh?" The crowd oohed, sharp, loud, Darius's grin faltering, Travis's face darkening. Kyle piped up, shrill, his skinny frame bouncing. "What, think you're queen 'cause some old dude rolled up?" She met his eyes, steady, a spark flaring. "Queen? Nah, just watching you choke." Laughter stung, Travis's crew shifting. Darius cracking knuckles, Kyle muttering low, a crack splitting wide. Travis stormed over, towering, his voice a growl. "You're done, gonna make you cry for that Escalade." She stood, slow, her hoodie slipping, her eyes locking his, a wall he couldn't climb. "Cry? Keep dreaming. I'm still here." His nostrils flared, his hand flexing, close enough she smelled his sweat and gum, the crowd hushing, a king teetering. "You're nothing," he hissed, spit flecking, a storm breaking. "Gonna bury you. Watch." She smirked, faint, final. "Bury yourself, holes deep enough." She sat back, eating slow, deliberate, letting his fury boil. The crowd split, some cheering her, some jeering, but Travis's reign bled out, and he felt it. The day burned, hallways a gauntlet of stairs, whispers turning to shouts from Travis's loyalists. After fourth period, she hit the gym, PE a blur of dodgeballs and sweat, when Travis's cheer squad struck again. 3 girls, blonde ponytails, glitter lips, cornered her by the bleachers, their sneers sharp. "So you're Jordan's pet, huh?" The leader spat, arms crossed. Aisha adjusted her hood, voice flat. "Pet's what you call it?" The blonde stepped closer, her glossed lips curling. "Travis says you're fake. MJ don't give a damn about you." Aisha smirked, sharp, slow. "Tell Travis to grow a spine, hiding's weak." They bristled, but she walked off, their whispers a fading hiss. Travis's net tightening, his desperation growing. After school, the halls emptied fast, but Aisha lingered. Her locker waited, a scarred testament. She opened it, books dumped again, pages shredded, a new scrawl in black marker. "Dead princess." A crumpled note fluttered out. "You're done, bitch." Travis's stink all over it. Kids loitered, phones up, a crowd smelling carnage. Travis leaned across the hall, arms crossed, his crew flanking, Darius a tower, Kyle grinning wide, watching for a crack. Aisha stacked her books, slow, calm, her hands steady, her face blank, giving him nothing but silence. Then it hit. The trap snapped. Across the hall, Travis's locker blazed. Screenshots plastered, texts spilling out, cruel jabs at classmates, racist digs, sexist slurs, timestamps fresh as yesterday. Darius is a dumb ox. Kyle's a loser lapdog. That chick's a slut. His own words, raw and vile, a kingdom's underbelly exposed. The hall froze. Phones snapped, gasps rippled, disgust swelling fast. Travis stormed over, ripping papers, roaring, "Who did this?" His eyes locked on Aisha, rage boiling over, his voice a hiss, shaking with fury. You set this up!" She leaned back, cool, her backpack shifting, her voice steady, cutting. "Me! Looks like your own mess caught you. Dig too deep, you drown!" His fists clenched, his whole body trembling, the crowd shifting, friends peeling away, whispers turning to jeers. Travis is done. What a punk! He lunged, wild, sloppy, his fist swinging, missing as a teacher grabbed him, barking, "Read, enough!" His crew scattered, Darius slinking, Kyle shrinking, the king's pawns crumbling. Aisha stood, untouched, the hall hers. Travis dragged off, his roar fading, his rain dust. Outside, the mist thickened, Wilmington's dusk cloaking the lot. Aisha hit the bus stop, rain beading on her hood, when headlights flared. The Escalade rolled up, bass thumping, MJ at the wheel, his cap low, eyes sharp. She slid in, exhaling slow, the door thudding shut. The cab hummed, MJ's hands steady, Aisha's breath easing. "Saw the buzz," he said, voice calm, deep. "He swing?" She nodded, faint smirk breaking. Swung and missed, his own dirt buried him. MJ chuckled, deep, his cap tilting. "Smart play. Let him fall. No hands dirty." They rolled home, the kitchen glowing, MJ's coffee steaming, Aisha swirling soda, ice clinking sharp. "He's done," she said, voice steady, edged with triumph. MJ leaned on the counter, arms crossed, his eyes glinting proud. "Done hard. Bullies break when the mirror cracks. You good?" She grinned, slow, sharp, her hoodie slipping. "Good." He never saw it coming. MJ raised his mug, a toast unspoken. The room hummed, a storm fading beyond. Travis's kingdom ash, Aisha's victory silent, slamming loud. Wilmington's Friday dawn crept slow over the docks, a salty mist clinging to the streets as Aisha Jackson stepped off the city bus, her sneakers scuffing damp asphalt outside Northside High School. Her hoodie hung loose, her braids swinging free, her backpack lightened. Yesterday's storm had broken Travis Reed's reign, his own venomous words plastered across his locker. A kingdom crumbled in screenshots and shame. The air felt different, lighter, sharper, as she walked toward the brick fortress, its bleachers glinting wet under a clearing sky. She'd watched him fall, his wild swing missing, his crew scattering, and now the school was hers to claim, quiet and fierce. The parking lot buzzed, kids spilling from buses, their voices a restless tide, varsity jackets dulled, phones still up, the hum of Travis's collapse a live wire snapping. Aisha's arrival lit it. Eyes tracked her, whispers racing. Jordan's niece smoked him. Travis's toast. The tale of his locker disgrace now a Northside myth. His fury a fuse burned out. She kept her chin high, her dark eyes steady, but the shift hit hard. Respect laced with awe. A few nods replacing sneers, a jury turning allies. Travis wasn't king anymore. He was a ghost, and she'd let him haunt himself into nothing. Inside, the halls thrummed, lockers clanging, tiles slick with tracked mud, teachers barking over the din. Aisha weaved through, her schedule a crumpled trophy, the crowd parting fast, some smiling, some staring. A tide she rode now. Her locker stood, dented, marker faded to scars. She opened it, books intact, no notes, no trash. A silent victory. The bell shrieked, kids scattering, but Travis's shadow lingered. Faint, broken. She'd seen him yesterday, dragged off roaring, his crew peeling away, Darius slinking, Kyle shrinking, a king dethroned by his own dirt. Today, he wasn't at his locker bank. No crew, no swagger, just empty space, a throne vacant. Classes hummed, math a drone of chalk and quiet, English a blur of poetry she actually heard, her pen still in her notebook. Whispers softened. MJ's girl cleaned house. Travis got dunked. A tide she didn't fight. Lunch was a proving ground. The cafeteria roared, trays clattering, but Travis's table sat hollow. His crew split. Darius at a corner with new faces. Kyle alone, head down, their laughter gone. Aisha grabbed her spot, sandwich in hand, hood off, and kids drifted near, some shy, some bold, murmuring, "That was wild. You're badass." She nodded, eating slow, her smirk faint. A queen not crowned, just standing. The shift wasn't just Travis's fall. Northside breathed different. A girl from history class, short, glasses, slid beside her, voice low. "He messed with me last year. Thanks for shutting him down." A guy from PE, lanky, quiet, nodded from across, mouthing, "Respect." Aisha's chest warmed, not triumph, but something deeper, roots taking hold where she'd once dodged shadows. Travis's loyalists lingered, cheergirls whispering, a few jocks glaring, but their venom fizzled, a pack without a leader. She'd won, not with fists, but with patience, letting his own game slam him flat. After school, the halls emptied fast, but Aisha lingered, her locker a testament, clean now, hers. She shut it, the clang a period on Travis's reign, when a shadow loomed. Travis. He stood alone. No crew, his Letterman jacket crumpled, his hazel eyes hollow, his smirk gone. His jaw was tight, his voice low, cracked. "You happy now?" She turned, slow, her backpack shifting, meeting his gaze. Cool, unflinching, a wall he'd never crack. "Happy's not the word," she said, voice flat, no bait offered. "You did this. Own it." He stepped closer, his breath sharp, gum missing, his hands flexing, a storm spent but still sparking. "You set me up. Those texts, that crap. You ruined me." Aisha's lips twitched, a faint smirk breaking, her words a quiet blade. "Ruined. You wrote 'em. Swung wild, missed big. Blame the mirror." His nostrils flared, his fists clenching, but the hall stayed empty. No crowd, no backup, just a king stripped bare. "I ran this school," he hissed, voice shaking. "You're nothing, Jordan or not." She leaned in, slow, her voice steady, cutting. "Ran it till you fell. Nobody's scared now. That's on you." Travis's eyes flickered. Rage, doubt, a crack splitting wide, his hands trembling, his breath short. "You think this is over?" he spat, a last gasp. She cut him off, calm, final. "Over? Look around, you're done. Walk away." He froze, his jaw working, but no words came. His kingdom ash, his power dust. He turned, slow, shuffling off, his shadow fading down the hall, a ghost no one feared. Aisha watched, her smirk fading, her chest easing. Victory not loud, but deep. Outside, the mist lifted, Wilmington's dusk painting the lot gold. Aisha hit the bus stop, breeze cool on her face, when headlights flared. The Escalade rolled up, bass thumping low, MJ at the wheel, his bull's cap low, eyes sharp under the brim. She slid in, exhaling slow, the door thudding shut, the cab humming, MJ's hands steady, Aisha's breath free. "Heard the buzz," he said, voice calm, deep, a gravel roll. "He swing again?" She nodded, faint grin breaking. Swung and crashed, his own dirt buried him. "Done," MJ chuckled, deep, his cap tilting, that half grin from Bull's glory days flashing. "Smart play, let him fall, no hands dirty. You good?" She leaned back, hoodie slipping, her grin sharp, warm. "Good. He never saw it coming. School's mine now." MJ's eyes glinted, proud, his voice a hardwood echo. "Yours 'cause you earned it. Patience dunks harder than fists. Seen it? 98 Utah, last shot, they swung, I slammed. She laughed, soft, real, a sound she hadn't let loose in weeks. Slammed quiet, best kind. They rolled home, Market Street blurring past, docks silent, river still, the kitchen glowing as they settled in. MJ's coffee steamed, Aisha swirled soda, ice clinking sharp, the room a haven after the war. He showed up solo, mad, she said, voice steady, edged with triumph. MJ leaned on the counter, arms crossed, his cap shadowing a face carved by rings and grit. Mad's all he's got left. Bullies break when the crowd walks. What did he say? She sipped slow, smirking. Blamed me, said I ruined him. Told him to check his own swing. MJ's chuckle rolled deep, his mug raised, a toast unspoken. Checkmate? Dude's a ghost now. School treat you different? She nodded, slow, her eyes glinting. Yeah, kids talking, not whispering. Some thanked me. Feels weird, good weird. MJ's grin widened, his voice a gravel hymn. Weird's winning, means you flipped it. Northside's yours 'cause you stood tall, not loud. Oh, so... She leaned back, hoodie off, braids free, her chest light, roots deep now, shadows gone. The weekend stretched, Wilmington quiet, Northside a hum in her mind. Monday dawned crisp, Aisha stepping off the bus to a school transformed, Travis's locker bare, his crew dissolved, kids nodding her way, a few fist bumps traded. She walked halls once a gauntlet, now a path, her spot at lunch a hub, voices joining, laughter real. Travis faded. A rumor, a cautionary tale, his swing a miss that echoed loud. She'd won, not with MJ's rings, but her own game. Patience slamming harder than fists, a legacy not borrowed, but built. That night, the Escalade idled outside, MJ waiting, his cap low, eyes warm. She slid in, exhaling free, the engine growling alive. School's good? He asked, voice calm, deep. She grinned, full, real. Good, finally mine. MJ nodded, proud, his smirk a hardwood stamp. Yours 'cause you played it right. Slam dunk, kid. They rolled off, Wilmington's dusk fading, a bully broken, a niece risen, a legend's shadow slamming home.